Today I will be taking a look into what I think could be the next step for smaller mod packs, where players don't even need to download any mods themselves, similar to my Resprouted project, and they can just join a modded server outright. Just look at this, I have a completely vanilla game, no mods installed, but when I join this modded server, suddenly I have all these cool mods available to me. How is this possible? Well, my friends, it is the power of Polymer, a software created by Pebble that allows mods to be developed to be purely server-based. And as always, I send in my goons to Poland to acquire him for an interview.
Hello everyone, I'm Padbox and I do server-side modding on Fabric, and to be fair, it's mostly that. And I guess that's about it. I'm a simple man.
Well, I didn't quite expect the most Polish man ever to land on my doorstep, but hey ho, kids, get them in the chair. And you, my dear viewer, why don't you join me into a glimpse what could be a revolutionary way of modding? And hey, while I got your attention, why don't you sit down and subscribe real quick? And oh, did you know that we have a little Discord where you can talk with your fellow Pebble heads? Linky in the pinned comment. So without all that cringe YouTuber stuff out of the way, let's get going. Created by Pebble, with its first version being released on December the 2nd of 2021, Polymer aims to be a library for other modders to use to create their own server-sided mods. And in the case of Pebble, he has already made a few, mainly Polyfactory, a sword create light he's very proud of, and Poly decorations, and a lot of other stuff. But I know what you're thinking, Steven. So what? There are dozens of mods like these. Well, my dear potato munchers, none of these other mods let you join a modded server with a completely vanilla client. No Forge, Fabric, or any other loader required. No downloads needed. If the server has it, you have it. The only thing that you need to do is accept this thing to download the resource pack that turns this weird collection of items into this other item. Neat, right? Yeah, I thought so too. So I asked Batbox where he got the idea from. So Polymer, how did you start that project?
I'm not the first one that did Fabric server side or even really pushed it forward. I just joined in where there were already people doing it. There was a Fabric minigame server Nucleoid, which kinda showed that Fabric is a great platform. And there is PolyMC, not the launcher. There's a mod which is way older than the launcher. In short, it made regular mods just work out of the box for a server side. I just needed something that didn't require resource packs, as because PolyMC was automatic, it couldn't, let's say, design things to work without one.
It's worth clarifying that nowadays he does have the ability to have automatic resource packs hosted. But essentially, Polymer uses the stuff that Mojang already put into the game, but more clever, and tries to do what PolyMC did, but more customizable. See, in an earlier version, I already talked about Spoutcraft, an older software that aimed to do somewhat of a similar thing. And I talked about packets. These are smaller pieces of larger code bases sent over the network, because if you were to send over the large piece of code in one go, it would not only be very unsafe, but it would also require the client on the other side to wait until all the code is sent over, received, and decoded. If you were anywhere near a computer in the 90s, you know exactly why this is a bad idea. Am I getting old, or do people still remember that? In either case, aside from using slightly modified packets, it also sends over a resource pack when enabled. Both these things are in the vanilla game and are supported by the client. And there is just one golden rule when working with vanilla clients. It only understands what it knows to exist, meaning you can't just add other ways of interacting with stuff because it just doesn't know what to do with it. But you could work around with that. How is it actually possible on a technical level? Don't blurt me with the terms. Just explain to me how is this possible?
It's all just lies. Polymer just makes so the server lies to the client. Since if you join a server, it needs to communicate somehow with the client and vice versa. So it uses packets. But what has full control over packets? Well, the server. So what if you change the packet so client can read it? And that's the entire tech, to be fair. It's just that simple. On paper, there's technically few more weirdness around that, but there isn't much more. With resource packs, that's where it gets interesting.
But as with anything in life, we do need to talk a little bit about security. Alright class, we are going to be learning security today, so get your glasses ready, and kids, activate that learning mode, please. So let's just say you wanted to join a server I hosted. Once you type that IP in the Minecraft client and join, the server will almost immediately send over pieces of data to you. Data like chunk information, your ping, other players' position, that kind of stuff. Now the issue is, say I wanted to send over a mod via that server over the network. It needs to travel from my server through a bunch of nodes and then arrive on your computer to be run and installed. This means that on every node it passes, on every line it passes, or anywhere along the route from my server to your computer, that jar or mod can be intercepted, modified, and become malicious. This is what's known as a man-in-the-middle attack, and it's a real concern for many over-the-internet applications. Though it seems to be that Polymer tries to take an approach of being as safe as it can be. You send over the resource pack, right? Like you send it over to the client. Yeah. How safe is this? Because I'm assuming you're using Mojang's own integrated resource pack downloading/sending API. I don't know what it is, system.
I mean, safer than mods, because since it can't really run any code, but technically it's less safe than not doing it, because there are possible bugs in the game that resource packs could exploit, but that's the same with packets. And to be fair, I haven't heard about any exploits, so it's not an issue really. It's the safest you can get if you want custom content.
Speaking of which, I do think we are a little bit desensitized to the fact that everything we download can be a risk. Sure, Timmy, that program can give you 100 V-Bucks, but it could also download 500 Russian bots on your computer. But like he said, it is as safe as it can be, as it doesn't run any code, unlike mods. But there could be still a log4j or mad gadget exploit around the corner we don't know about right now. But hey, wait a second. If this works on Fabric and is just pure vanilla code, then it can work on Bukkit, right? Well, you're using Fabric, you actively advocate that you're developing on Fabric. Is this kind of stuff also possible on the Bukkit API in some sort?
I mean, depends. I will talk about Bukkit as I will include both Bukkit, spigot, and paper because it's most, I guess, fair. It kind of depends. Whatever you want the internals to work very similarly, or if you want to just emulate effect enough. If you want to emulate the effect, you can get around and get things quite close. But if you just limit yourself to the paper APIs, so you don't use the Minecraft's code, then I don't think most of the things would be possible, or at least they wouldn't be as possible as they are now. But if you use NMS, maybe you could hack around enough to get something close, but then I'm pretty sure all the plugins will just break apart.
I think this is again a limitation of Bukkit's old bones. Sure, I defend Bukkit's place in the server world, but for things like this it just simply can't compete. As Patbox said, you need to trick the client into seeing a vanilla block as something else using events, which are costly and cause a lot of slowdown, while Fabric just allows that modification to be done on the fly on the server side much more easily. And while this technically could be replicated on Forge and NeoForge, as they also have mixins, what about Forge?
Depends if you mean, I mean, technically it should be possible to do it on Forge. I just didn't do it on Forge. Or you can do it. They expose enough of things, but aside of having to, I guess, have vanilla to work with it, you also need to possibly change some things around NeoForges or Forges internals to also work with Polymer. But on Forge it should be entirely possible since they have mixins, and most of my things are also just implemented with mixins. I just didn't really have interest to use Forge since the server-side scene was actually, I would say on Fabric it was just more interesting.
But ladies and gentlemen, let's talk some facts right now. Is this really the new way of doing things? I mean, a software that just lets you play modded Minecraft without downloading anything seems like a dream come true, right? Well, it has its downsides like everything. For one, sending over mods like some games do it, for instance Eco does this, is going to be either very difficult, if not downright impossible. PolyMC, not the launcher, got close to the full thing, and Polymer tries to find a good middle-of-the-road solution, and in that I think they will succeed. But I asked Packbox if he thinks that these kind of solutions could be more popular. Well, I'm gonna ask you like a question looking into your glass bowl of the future. We all have one, right? Do you think that server-side only mods will get more popular in the future, or do you think you're gonna be the only one developing these things?
Actually, I'm not the only one. I mean,
no, but I mean,
as I said, I joined when already the things were moving. I just pushed them forward, and I'm seeing more and more actual interest in the Fabric server side. So I think it will grow. Both the people who want to run server-side mods with targeting vanilla clients, but also people who, for example, play on mod packs and just want few more extra things on their server without requiring custom mod packs or players installing more mods. So it will naturally grow.
And that I think will be true. With all these mod loaders vying for your mods and the casual Andy not knowing the difference between Fabric and Paper, I think it would be a good thing if players can just boot up Minecraft, join the server, and never think about that stuff again. So if you're looking for a cool project to develop your next mod on, give Polymer a go. But for now, I was Lunar, you were very awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you to our lovely Pebbles on Patreon and here on YouTube. You make what I do possible, and I'm so grateful for it. If you'd like to also have full access to the interview I had with Patbox, you can go over to the Patreon, and for just €1 a month, that's less than a newspaper, you can have the full unedited 30-minute interview with not only him, but others as well, like Hiroku, Young, James from Distant Horizons, and so many more. Or maybe you want to have early access and want to have members-only videos where I swear like a sailor and misspeak every 5 seconds like I'm doing right now. You can join the YouTube members for the same price, and both these little special pebbles get access to a special chat in my Discord and to early polls. So yeah, thanks again, and I'll see you the next time. Alright kids, let the Polish man out of the basement now.